but we got you. I'm serious.
I started.
Good.
Sit up, push up.
Thank you for not turning those on.
Appreciate that. Did you see who's up? You do 100 push-ups? Oh, I can't. That's it? You get warmed up.
Isn't that here?
Well, I'm not.
That clock is about 3 minutes fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you order.
Yeah, I'm sir. They're back there talking.
Well, if you're not here on time, Mr. President, you need to do something about that.
I know.
Hey, I thought it was an easy job.
Listen to you.
It's warm in here.
Only council president ever been impeached.
No, it's warm.
Me.
Am I feeling the heat? There we go.
Why didn't we? Yeah, you voted against me for it.
That's right. That's because I voted for myself.
I'm going to get the last two rounds. They're coming in. Say excuse, Mr. Davis. Thank you very much. So we do have officially this clock to go up at noon. Your clock. You're the president. You're 6:57. 6:57. You have 7? I got 6:50. I got 6:57. Computer time.
And I have a pen or something.
But we're all here. So we got at least start at half hour and get going. We have to go by the 6:58. This one. Yeah. Delivery. 3 minutes.
Got some calendars if you want. Counselor.
I got you. How much time we have?
2 minutes. Computer time, which should be universal. I feel like they get it pretty right off cell phones. Sometimes my phone goes up. He's great.
What are we doing for the process?
5. Those 4 have
He's not really long.
40 minutes from the demonstrative. 4 and against. 4 we have 40 and against we have 40. Robert's rules.
You're on, Mr. President. You want me to go? We're given the nod, right?
See, 6:59. We got 1 more minute.
Joe, thank you. What about this?
Oh, how's everybody doing?
I know.
Okay, guy walks in the bar. Okay, I see dance or time to go.
You've been out there.
Yep.
Those trenches.
Oh, for him? Oh, I think we'll take it to him. We have arrived at 7 o'clock. Could we all please stand for the invocation? Dear Lord, we thank you for being here. Give us wisdom as we make decisions tonight. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vindications. Oh, good evening. We would like for Mr. Morgan to give us the roll. Mr. Scott. Present. Mr. Henry Davis. Present.
Mrs. Shea?
Here.
Dr. Furley? Dr. Varner?
Present.
Vice President Peter?
President, Mr. Wardy.
Mr. Furley? Councilmember White called and was excused. President Oliver Davis?
I am present.
8 present.
Thanks so much, Clerk Forty. We have our report from the Subcommittee on Minutes now, Mr. Wardy.
Yes, I have 3 reports, actually. The County Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the December 9th meeting, December 16th meeting, and the January 6th meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved, all signed by Oliver Davis and David Varner.
For favor recommendation? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. It is carried. Our special business, Bill 1401 and 1402 have been continued. Do we need a vote on that at this time? Okay.
Motion to continue 1401 and 1402
From January.
to January 22nd.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. It is carried. Under announcements, we have the council will be taking applications for various boards, commissions, and committees. We've extended that date to January the 31st, 2014. And some of those committees are as follows. The Animal Control Commission, the Human Rights Commission, the WBE Utilization Board, Redevelopment Commission, there are 2 appointments. For that one, Urban Enterprise has 2 appointments, and WBE has 3 appointments. So we would like to have all those by Friday, January 31, 2014. Any further comments from our council attorney regarding that matter?
Council President Davis, we also have 10 of the 11 standing committees of the county.
That is correct.
And any filing applications who sit as a citizen member, the deadline for that is also been on 31st, which is part of it.
You must be a South Bend resident.
Yes, and city residents, it is a requirement for all employees.
Okay. And so, thank you so much. Again, January 31, we're looking for that. There are no reports yet from our city offices. Representing the city administration is Catherine, Chief of Staff, Catherine Roos. Also see the mayor here tonight. Thank you also for being there, Mayor Buddy Roach. Okay. Now, we will resolve into the Committee of the Whole. At this time, can I have a motion to resolve into the Committee of the Whole? Move. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It is carried. I've never had my chair.
I know.
Thank you. As we should. The Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council meeting where council sits as a committee. Proposed ordinances are read by title only by City Clerk John Board. Reports are then verbally given by the chairperson of the council standing committee to which the proposed ordinance was sent for an advisory review and recommendation. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from a staff member of the area plan will be given. In all other situations, the formal presentation on the proposed ordinance will immediately follow the committee report and then the formal presentation followed by a public hearing. We ask that everyone turn their cell phones and other electronic devices to the silent mode. Additional rules governing the Committee of the Whole are set forth in the brochure available on the railings of the council chambers. I now ask City Clerk John Vorty to read Bill number 6113.
Public hearing on a bill amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 736 California Avenue, 906, 908, and 910 Portage Avenue, Councilmanic District 1 in the city of South Bend.
To accept the substitute bill of the City Clerk.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? we will accept the amended version of Bill 6113. We had a committee, zoning and annexation committee meeting this afternoon. Councilman Henry Davis, would you please tell us the
We sent Bill 6113 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Now,
Point of order. I would like to recuse myself from voting on 6113, as is my wife is the director of the NNN, and this falls under her business.
thank you, Councilman Scott.
Point of order.
We will now have a formal presentation from Krista Nader Hill of the Area Planning Commission.
Krista Hill with the Area Planning Commission offices on the 11th floor of this building. This is a zoning change to the property located at the southeast corner of Portage Avenue and California Street. The petitioner is requesting a zone change from the GB General Business District for this piece here and S2 single-family and two-family district for the triangle behind it to go to a PUD planned unit development district to allow for multi-family residential and a retail restaurant or cafe. Sorry, I was at the end. There we go. This is just another aerial photograph of the property. This is a building that stands here today. They're going to attempt to save this two-story part of the building and also some of the facade along Portage and California streets. And then this small green space back here will be additional parking for the site. And like I said, there's an existing building of which they're going to save about 5,000 square feet, which is highlighted in yellow. There will be a new two-story building will be built kind of around those features. It will contain 29 one-bedroom units and 13 two-bedroom units, and then a retail use such as a restaurant or cafe will occupy 1,600 square feet at the northwest corner of the building outlined in red. There are 29 parking spaces behind the building and an additional 5 parking spaces on the other side of the alley. Additional off-site parking will be located in the NNN, the near northwest neighborhood parking lot at the northeast corner of Portage Avenue in California, right here. And we have a memorandum of understanding from the near northwest neighborhood regarding those 26 parking spaces, and the petitioner is working with the NNN to get a more formal document put together, signed, and then recorded. And at the public hearing, there are 5 people to speak in favor of this project, including those connected with the NNN. It comes to the Common Council favorable recommendation from the Area Plan Commission. The redevelopment of this site into a mixed-use development would strengthen the Portage Avenue corridor. And the PUD incorporates several of the appearance objectives of the Portage Avenue Commercial Corridor Action Plan, such as parking in the rear, front lot line buildings, and landscaping screening. We believe that the parking provided by the NNN will provide sufficient parking for the residents and customers. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Council, are there any questions? We'll go from left to right. Councilman Dieter?
No, ma'am.
No.
Thank you. We will now open. Thank you.
As Krista had mentioned, what we're asking for is rezoning on the corner of California for the distribution building to be allowed to take that from the general business district and a single family classification to the PUD district and unit development. The reason we're requesting the plan unit development is to allow for mixed use for the building. And
Jake.
you hear me? Okay. The uses of the building, as Chris had mentioned, is actually there's 42 residential units, and then we're also doing a statement portion of the building about 16 to 1800 square feet along California, 40 right in front of the building, and we'd be using that as a cap area for the residents for the building and also for the neighborhood. The reason, again, that we're going through the PUD is to allow us for flexibility in how we're using the building. As Krista had mentioned, on where we're locating the parking areas and
how we're doing the landscaping around the building. The new parking areas will be located to kind of the northeast of the existing building. There is an alley that bisects where the building is located, also a portion of the current 5 parking spaces. That alley will remain as a public alley, but it will be redone. We will repave that, bring it up to standards, for city standards, and also for use by the residents within the facility. Assuming we receive council approval for this, which would be about a 54,000 square foot building, the developers are probably looking at an investment on all the renovations with a planned cost of about $100 million. And if we receive approval for doing this, they are also have submitted a petition to the state of Indiana for some tax credits for this particular project. And if those go through, we potentially could be under construction later this year, probably in September. And as obviously we hope that the city water and sewer will meet all the standards for the engineering site plan. As Chris had mentioned, also, we will have an agreement with the neighborhood association. If you're taking a look at the aerial photo, you'll see just to the north of the side, northeast, there's an existing parking area that contains 26 parking spaces. We will have a parking lease agreement that will run with this property. It will be used for the residents as well. That will be part of the approval for the final site plan. We have shown council a copy of that parking lease agreement, and that will be final. If you have any questions from there, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Dance. Are there any questions, starting with Councilman Davis? Henry Davis? President Davis? Dr. Fuller? Dr. Barner?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. Thank you very much. We will now turn to the public hearing of this bill. Those wishing to speak in favor, please come to the podium. You need to state your name and address for the record, and you have up to 5 minutes to speak.
Hi, I'm Mike Griffin, and my wife and our kids and I live at 704 California, so we live very close to the proposed development. And first, I want to thank the council for a really great process throughout in this whole hearing. And we are very excited about this for 4 reasons. I can just share them very briefly. Obviously, the current site is an eyesore. It's a blight. It's a drag on the neighborhood, and many families like us are in that neighborhood because we're really excited about living in the city and seeing the kind of development and growth that can happen there. So the current site's an eyesore. We're very impressed with the plan and the people who are working along with our neighborhood to develop this site. It looks like they're going to do a really first-class job of both aesthetically and then also with the management of the property. Third, we think this can be one of many initiatives that all of us in South Bend can get behind because it will bring more people into the city. It's a place where people would be going out to dinner downtown, people who work in the city, so we think this can be a boon for the whole city. And also connected to that, the final reason is just this is a really important corridor for South Bend. So in terms of city improvement, we think that this Portage Avenue stretch, with all the great work that the NNN has already done to beautify and have a lot of rehab homes, we think this can really help make that corridor very attractive heading into downtown South Bend. So we're supportive. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, my name is Mike Edwards. So I live on Country Grove, 729, which is the bottom left of the map. Just to reiterate what Mike Griffin said, but then also to add that I serve on the NNN Inc. board, and the board supports this project. And one of the things that residents and stakeholders worked on this past year was our quality of life plan for the NNN, which we spoke about here weeks before. And this project is one of the highlights that came out of that plan. Residents brainstorming and gathering and talking about what would be best for our neighborhood, for our city. So to offer support from the residents and the board.
Thank you.
Becky Kaiser, 913 Diamond Avenue, South Bend, and I'm also a resident of the NNN, and I have lived in the NNN for over 50 years. I've watched the Tip Top building, which is now the Ford Distribution building, deteriorate. And as former chairman for 1 year of the Weed and Feed program, one of the things we try to instill in people is that projects like this strengthen the neighborhood. As we watch our neighborhoods continue to disintegrate, we need projects like this to build our neighborhoods back up. We need to bring young people back into the neighborhood, into places that they can afford and where they can feel safe. This is a step for the NNN in that area, where someone doesn't have to look at a large home that they will have to take care of, where, in this case, they can come into the neighborhood, realize they like living in the city of South Bend, they're close to everything. So I think this is a huge, powerful change for the NNN and the city of South Bend. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mary Turgey, and I live at 1023 Portage Avenue, which is just a few doors down from the Ford Distributing Building. And I've lived in that general area for about 19 years now, and over time I've watched that building just go from bad to worse, frankly. So I want to reiterate, I've spoken here several times before, I want to reiterate what I've said before, that I personally support this renovation project very strongly, because I walk out my front door every morning and see this. I also happen to be the president of the NNN Inc. board, and I would reiterate what others have said, that the board very strongly supports this. And the neighbors in that area are very excited to think that this building could actually have a positive future. So I would just like to ask you once again to support whatever needs to happen to allow this project to advance successfully. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of this bill?
My name is John Reinsberg. I live at 735 Portage Avenue, which is the top location. I'd like to thank the council and the mayor for what seems to be really exciting times here in downtown South Bend. We seem to have a lot of unemployment right now, so I have some of that funding, but also I think this is the ideal situation, like I've heard some other people say. A lot of people come to our neighborhood don't have real high incomes, and if they want to rent a house or buy a house, sometimes they don't have the abilities to keep it up properly. A project like this would allow them to come in the neighborhood, get a feel for it, maybe, work for a while, save some money, and eventually maybe buy a home from you. But I just think it'd be great for our neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of this bill? Okay, we'll move to, is there anyone here wishing to speak against this bill? Seeing no one, I turn the public portion is now closed. I turn back to the council. Council, what is your pleasure for Bill 6113?
I'll make a recommendation in a second. I'd just like to thank everybody at the NNN. That building, which Becky knows and everybody knows from back in the days. I grew up in that neighborhood, 2 blocks south, in the garage where my father had his podiatry office, and then later in the 1100 block in that building back in the heyday of Gerard's Pharmacy and the Combs and everything, when that area was a very productive and great thing for the neighborhood. It was awesome, that entire area. But over the years, even since when the NN started on Cushing and everything and morphed into a fabulous entity now for that side of town, that building has been an eyesore. Even before I was elected first district council, it's been that way for a long time. The graffiti, everything that attracts the negative things. So I appreciate the decades of hard work that everybody's put in to get that. It's very exciting to see something on the main corridor coming into town that's going to be a sustainable, livable area for people, that we can have that done in that neighborhood, which is, again, decades of hard work. So I appreciate Karen and Mary and everybody that's put in all that time and effort into getting that, and I just can't wait till that thing is up and running. So that being said, I move for a favorable recommendation of the substitute bill.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Bill 6113 will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Clerk Forty, will you please read Bill 7913?
Public hearing on a bill to vacate the following described property. The street to be vacated is a portion of Hildreth Street, from the east right-of-way of Esther Street to the end of the existing cul-de-sac for a distance of 460 feet, more or less, and a width of 60 feet, including the 60-foot radius of the cul-de-sac.
Councilman Henry Davis, the Public Works and Property Vacation Committee met earlier today. What is the report?
Send Bill 7913 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a presenter here for Bill 7913? Mr. Coyne?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the committee. My name is William Coyne, 226 South College, Indiana, and counsel for the trustees of the committee. We appreciate the opportunity to seek your assistance in this project. We ask that you vacate this street so that it could be incorporated into the master plan of the Indiana University South State campus. The pedestrian application and parking plan that we intend to bring forward. Essentially, we've been operating in this area for quite some time. We now own all the adjacent properties and completed. And so, the campus, as our landscape architect, is to continue the beautification of our overall. And in case to answer whatever questions you may have, I would also like to express our gratitude to the city engineer, city clerk's office, council attorney, and all those for their professionalism in guiding us through this somewhat intricate process. We're very grateful.
Thank you, Mr. Coyne. Council, starting with Councilman Furlick, are there any questions?
Negative. No, ma'am.
I will, what I had said earlier, as the representative for the 3rd District, I've worked closely with IUSB. The new addition on the west side of campus is a beautiful new addition to the neighborhood, so you have my full support.
And we're grateful for your support to move this forward throughout the last 5 years.
Thank you. Dr. Furlick? Nothing?
No, nothing.
Okay. Henry?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. We'll open it to the public now. Thank you. So, is there anyone in the public here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 7913? Okay. Is there anyone here wishing to speak opposed to Bill 7913? Okay. We will bring the bill back to the council. Council, what is your pleasure for Bill 7913?
For favorable recommendation, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Bill 7913 will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
I'd like to make a motion to continue 6913 to 2/27.
January.
I'm sorry, January 27th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Bill 6913 be continued to January 27th. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Bill 6913 will be continued to January 27th.
I'd like to make a motion to continue 7013 to February 10th.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to continue Bill 7013 until February 10th of 2014. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Bill 7013 will be heard on February 10th, 2014.
I'd like to make a motion to continue 7713 indefinitely.
Second.
Bill 7713 has been, it's been moved and seconded that Bill 7713 be continued indefinitely. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Bill 7713 will be continued indefinitely. I would like a motion to rise and report back to the council.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Okay, so...
Jesus, look at that. Come on. I understand. Come on. The full council is back in order session. Now, we will look for Mr. Zodi to read the amended version of Bill 6113.
Third reading on the bill amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 736 California Avenue, 906, 908, and 910 Portage Avenue, Councilmanic District 1 in the city of South Bend.
A motion to amend this motion into the whole?
Second.
So moved. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Just carried.
Make a motion for the amended version of 6113.
Passage.
Yes.
Second. Okay, Mr. Woody, would you please read the roll?
Mr. Henry Davis. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Pearl. Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Vice President Dieter. Mr. Furlick. President Oliver Davis.
Aye.
7 ayes.
7 ayes?
Yeah, Tim Scott recused himself.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I forgot.
I'm recused, Mr.
I understand, that's true. Thank you. Okay. Now, Mr. Woody, could you read Bill 7913?
Third reading on the bill to vacate the following described property. The street to be vacated is a portion of Hildreth Street from the east right-of-way of Esther Street to the end of the existing cul-de-sac for a distance of 460 feet, more or less, and a width of 60 feet, including the 60-foot radius of the cul-de-sac.
Move for the passage of 7913.
Second.
Thank you. Could you please take the roll, Mr. Woody?
Mr. Scott? Aye. Mr. Henry Davis? Aye. Mrs. Shea?
Aye.
Dr. Furlick?
Aye.
Dr. Varner?
Aye.
Vice President Dieter?
Aye.
Mr. Furlick? And President Oliver Davis?
Aye.
8 ayes.
And we now move to the resolutions. Mr. Woody, could you read Bill number 14-03?
A resolution confirming the adoption of a declaratory resolution designating certain areas within the city of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 4701 NIMS Parkway, as an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 5-year personal property tax abatement for Schaefer Industries, Inc.
Thank you. At this time, we would like to hear from our presenter. And please state your name and address and a brief synopsis.
Stan Blanke, Executive Vice President, Schaefer Industries, 4701 NIMS Parkway, South Bend. We have been awarded 2 contracts from existing customers, and as a result, those programs require the addition of 3 new pieces of equipment. Those pieces of equipment will cost $1.4 million, and we will add 5 new permanent positions as a result of that. So we are excited always about new business, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions from our council at this time? Seeing none, we thank you. And at this time, we have a public hearing. Anybody from the public would like to speak in favor? Anybody from the public would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Back to the council.
Move the adoption of 1403.
Second.
Mr. Woody, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Shea?
Aye.
Dr. Furlick?
Aye.
Dr. Varner?
Aye.
Vice President Mr. Furlick? Mr. Scott? Mr. Henry Davis? And President Oliver?
Aye.
8 ayes.
Okay, on resolution 1404.
Move to continue 1404.
We'll continue that.
January 27th.
For January.
Continue.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, this carried. We have 1404. Mr. Woody, would you please read?
1405.
5.
Thank you.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, authorizing the submission of an application to the United States Environmental Protection Agency on behalf of the St. Joseph County Brownfield Assessment Coalition for a brownfield assessment grant.
Thank you. We have a community investment report from Mr. Gavin Furlick.
Yes, Community Investment sends 1405 forward with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Furlick. Now, can we have our presenter state his name, his address, and give us a brief synopsis?
Hey, good evening. My name is Chris Tressel. I'm with the City of South Bend Department of Community Investment with offices on the 14th floor of this building. And I'm here requesting the council's approval of this resolution that will authorize the submission of an application to the U.S. EPA on behalf of the St. Joseph County Brownfield Assessment Coalition. And the coalition includes membership by the City of South Bend as the lead agent, and as well as the City of Mishawaka and St. Joseph County. You may recall a similar request that was approved by the council in November 2012. We intend to submit this application request in the amount of $600,000 for a 3-year brownfield assessment grant that will fund environmental assessments as well as provide funds for the development or an update of the brownfields inventory. The funds would not be available for site cleanup or redevelopment purposes. And we're receiving assistance from a environmental consulting firm that's helping with the submission of the grant and the preparation of the grant materials. And the grant is due on January 22nd of 2014, later this month. And if awarded, the grant period's expected to initiate on October 1st of 2014. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the council at this time? Seeing none, we now move to our public portion. Those who would like to speak in favor of Bill 1405, please rise and share your thoughts. Those who would like to speak in opposition, please do likewise. The public hearing is closed. What would the council like to do?
I move for an adoption of Bill 1405.
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Would you please read the roll?
Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
Dr. Barnes.
Aye.
Vice President Dieter.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Aye. Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
And President Alberti.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you. Mr. Reddy, would you please read Bill 14-07?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, urging the Indiana General Assembly to reject the proposed state constitutional amendment permanently defining marriage.
There's a Personnel and Finance Committee. Could we have a report from their chair today?
Yes. President Davis, the Personnel and Finance Committee met earlier today and is sending Bill 1407 to the full council with no recommendation.
Thank you. At this time, we do have a presenter, and please state your name and address and share a summary of your bill.
My name is Tim Scott, 711 Forest Avenue, 1st District City Council person.
Thank you. You may proceed.
I'm going to read my presentation.
Okay.
So, as a statement. The resolution before council today is to send a message to the state legislation body urging them to vote against HJR 6, now HJR 3, because of the negative impact it will have on our state in retaining and recruiting the best and talented in the country to work within our state. When Governor Pence was here a few months ago at the RACO business expansion, ribbon cutting, he said Indiana was open for business. We need to send a message to the country and the world that Indiana is open for business for everybody without barriers and exception. Indiana needs to be an attractive place to all, a place where all are accepted and where everyone can call Indiana home. Tony Fora, president of North Central Indiana AFL-CIO, wrote to us today. Organized labor has always stood for equality and fairness for all. Organized labor is also strongly opposed to such legislative efforts that make taking away benefits that have been won for workers through collective bargaining. When large companies like Eli Lilly, Cummins, and others say that this is bad for business, along with 13 mayors, 8 major universities and colleges, and other city councils, we too need to voice our objections to discrimination in legislation. Businesses have non-discrimination policies, or even offer benefits for same-sex couples. They consider the synergy of the state laws when they look at their own policies, when deciding where they're going to do business, and what states they possibly might open new businesses. While business and government should not delve into the personal lives of upstanding citizens and employees, however, it's a very personal decision when people make decisions on where they live and where they work. HJR 3 and its companion bill in the House, 1153, do more to confuse the issue, and they are documents that also actually confuse the issue about discrimination. They're putting up barriers for our people, for anybody to live within Indiana. I ask for your support in leading Northern Indiana to send a message to make Indiana open for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. At this time, we would like to have questions starting from my right, working down all the way to the end for questions that you may have for Councilman Scott, starting with Councilman Henry Davis.
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Shea?
Davis, I do not have any questions.
No questions.
Yes, down to Dr. Varner.
I just, in reading the ordinance and in trying to understand it as best I can, with reference, I believe it was made several times in the statements by mayors that you referenced, that HJR 6 would, quote, take away rights. What right does HJR 6 take away?
I think it's a principle that...
I asked for rights, not principles. But what principle, or what right does it in fact take away, if it will? And I don't know whether this will proceed in any fashion whatsoever, but I'm curious if people are going to make the statement that this takes away rights. What right does it take
Well, I
away?
can't speak for the mayors that made the statements. And the point that I'm bringing up is any barrier that we bring to the state does not help the state to do business better.
Can you follow up on that? Or,
No, I just...
okay. Vice President Duda?
Tim, in your statement, you said the best and the talented. Define best and talented. Could be anybody. Gay, straight, anything. And people look at it in not only any orientation, look at how progressive cities, states, towns, counties are, and they make a decision. And it's a very personal decision where people live and where they work. And what we want to be able to say is, we want you to work here. We want you to live here. I'm sure there's plenty of folks in this audience that will speak that some people are saying, why are you still in Indiana? Because Indiana seems not to be progressing forward like some progressive states and countries.
Okay. Do you have any data or stats to define the best and talented not coming here or leaving or not locating here?
No, I can't, but I'm sure there's people here in this audience that will speak to that.
That's all for now. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Froelich? Question. I have one question. Would you consider possibly those on the council who are in favor of this sending a letter of support? And my only concern with the vote tonight is that it may not send the strength of the message which several people desire to be sent to the state of Indiana on behalf of the city of South Bend. I don't know what the exact vote may be, but if for some reason it's a 5-3 vote or something like that, it's a one-person vote, you really flip it over the coin, 4-4, or in that neighborhood, since we only have 8 people. It could send that there was a split council on this kind of a message. And would it be stronger for those on the council who are in favor of this to just join together and write a letter and not even take it to a vote?
I think I would urge for a resolution. I think it's going to send a stronger message. And it will send a message how our city council votes.
So
Indianapolis, Evansville, Bloomington, and others have, Valparaiso have chimed in on this.
Do you know what
A large city, I think.
Do you know what the vote was in those cities?
I think for the most part, they were unanimous.
Most of them are unanimous. So since the majority of them are unanimous, again, I go back to, would it be stronger for those who are supportive of this to send a unanimous letter for those, whether they're five or four or six or whatever, for them to send that and show at least that there's a strong support, then if South Bend shows a split decision, when the other cities sent a unanimous decision, what are your thoughts with that?
Well, I have high ambitions, and I hope all my council members will vote in favor for this and send a clear message.
I understand that, and I hope that, I see your point on that. But in the event that they don't do that, would that be something, you see what I'm saying on that issue? When the other cities are unanimous...
The letter if possible.
Okay.
But I would like to vote on the resolution, and I've had citizens within South Bend ask for that.
I understand. Just wanted that to be put on the record. Thank you. Oh, so used to you running that part of it. Okay. Are there any other questions at this part? If not, we can ask you to briefly sit back, and we'll open up to the public. How we would do the public? We'd like for our attorney to explain how a public hearing can go on this matter. Yes. Oh, a second. You have a question from the council person? Yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you the question that you were asking of that. If that were to take place, meaning a letter, how would that be crafted? That's crafted for folks who actually agree with what's being asked to be done and sit it down, or does it have to just go down as a CSL Bend deal, given our mayor has participated in, obviously, open to discussions as well?
First of all, everything we do is public, so therefore any letter that we send will be a public letter. And so therefore the idea that I thought was those on the council who wanted to sign a public letter of support would just say that I, Councilman or Councilwoman so-and-so, support this resolution, and that is being presented, and they send it from that standpoint, and they speak on behalf of themselves.
Sure.
And so therefore, if there are four, if there are five, if there are six, if there are seven, if they all speak on that, and that's half of them, and they send a letter out.
Well, sure. And
now, of course, anybody has a right on the opposition to say, well, they can send a letter too. But I'm just saying that in this event, that we are on those who would like to send that in support. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, actually, I appreciate your leadership on that. Because of the issue could be a bit challenging as well as polarizing. And so given an option that could potentially still serve the same purpose without some of the drawback or negative atmosphere that it could provide for some people, I just thought that maybe I'll continue to ask that question of you to see exactly where you're going with it. But
so that's where I was going with it.
Yeah, thank you.
From that standpoint. So because I don't want the friction of any council to override the message that some would like to send.
Sure.
And I think that's the concern that I have when you have other cities that have done unanimous. Anything short of unanimous could put, in my personal opinion, a different message than some people want to send.
It won't be as strong.
Recognizing what, that's all I'm saying.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from the council at this point? Dr. Varner.
I've referred to council attorney. In the past, when we have sent letters to the legislature subject to or following a vote on something, has it been two letters, one signed by the majority and one signed by the minority, or the opposition, or whatever? How has that been handled in the past?
If this particular resolution is adopted, it is asked the city clerk who would transmit the cover letter, and typically there's just a brief summary that would say that the vote was X.
Okay.
In other situations over the years, we have also had individual council members that have sent letters. So again, there's a variety of ways that you can express it.
And when there's some council letters, how does the clerk summarize that? What do they say?
Just a vote.
And again, it would be with a certified copy of the resolution if it was adopted. And just give them notice that, and oftentimes it's just sent to the elected representatives of the areas that represent the South Bend community. This particular resolution is being requested to sent to everyone in the community.
Well, you're sharing, when it's done like that, that does not consist of a vote. They're just sharing their own, speaking as their own council person from that standpoint.
Right.
Thank you.
And
Makes sense.
getting to the everyone, city council invites anyone who do not have to hear.
I'll listen to you. I'm trying.
We ask that if you are going to address the council, that you give them a brief comment. That time will be Kelly.
I can do it.
Councilmember at-large,
Okay.
Furlick will be
usually doesn't
Those of individuals in favor, we will then assess how much time that was.
I think you got an egg timer, dude. Egg timer.
Get an equal amount of time as the presenters, or 30 minutes, whichever is greater. Immediately after that remonstrance, the presenter, Councilmember King Scotchman, has the opportunity for an additional 5 minutes rebuttal period to address any questions that may be raised. So with that, Councilmember Davis is back in control.
Thank you, Attorney. Those who'd like to speak in favor, would you please come forth, state your name, and one other quick thing, could you move that microphone towards you so it won't be so high up or so low or whatever, anybody? And if you would like to speak in favor, could you please just line up? Everybody would like to speak in favor, just line up, and we go back to that wall so we can just expedite time. When we have those speaking in opposition, I'd like you to do also the same thing. And we'd like to bear with you. I know you may have to stand a little longer tonight. For those of you who can't stand, or at least for those of you sitting close, if you could scoot over and let those at least come by and they can at least sit over there. And that way everybody can at least sit or stand and be close. Making sure all those who would like to speak in favor, please come. And if you can't stand, at least sit close to those who are standing, and then we'll be at peace. Let us begin.
Good evening, Council. My name is Cecil Eastman. I reside at 57112 Peachstone, and I also work here at the City of South Bend. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Scott and the rest of the Council for bringing this resolution to the public. I think it's a totally admirable thing to do. South Bend has a long history of making its voice heard, contrary to the voices in Indianapolis, most notably back in the 20s when the state government was run by the KKK. South Bend made its voice heard, saying how it completely disapproved. I'd like to begin by answering the 3 items brought up by the councilman. First, Dr. Bonner, you asked which rights would be affected. And I'd like to actually take it back to before the Constitution, to the Declaration of Independence, where, according to Mr. Jefferson, our rights, the inalienable rights endowed by our Creator to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If you can't pursue your loved one here in the state of Indiana, that liberty is being abridged. Mr. Dieter, you brought up whether or not we've actually lost any of the best or the brightest. I would submit, sir, that if we are excluding anyone for anything other than their ability to do a job, you run the risk of losing the best and the brightest. It's only anecdotal, but I'll begin with my husband, my brother and his husband, who moved to California because they couldn't be legally wed in Indiana. And then finally, Mr. Davis, you brought up the idea of perhaps sending a letter, and I would submit, sir, that perhaps it would send a more notable message if it actually came from the council as a whole. And frankly, I think it would also be valuable for the community to know which of its council people support this action and which do not. Thank you.
My name is David Guthrie. I'm at 863 Forest. I also want to address the question of what rights are taken away. Well, ultimately, I think whether you believe that marriage should be one man, one woman, or whether it should be defined by the partners involved, a constitutional amendment is just not the appropriate tool for doing this. We have never in the history of the Indiana state passed a constitutional amendment that restricts rights, and this clearly does. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
My name is Rhonda Redmond. I live at 518 North Scott Street in South Bend. And I would like to say that the Constitution of the state of Indiana is meant to protect individuals. And regardless where you stand on the issue of same-sex marriage, the Constitution was not meant to enshrine discrimination in it. And in answer to your question, Mr. Dieter, one of the things that happened to me when Michigan passed an amendment was my partner and I had joint auto insurance, and the company office, head office, was located in Michigan. Our insurance had to be severed. Unless we were jointly registered on both vehicles, we could not be on each other's insurance because they deemed that a marital type situation. So there are things, because of the way the amendment is written, there are little things all along the way that are going to drop off. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Lane. I live at 221 East Navarre Street, just east of the hospital. I was born and raised here. I went to Purdue for school, and when I graduated, only one state, Massachusetts, allowed gay marriage. So there really wasn't that much of a debate of do I want to go to a state that allows gay marriage or not, because there really weren't any options. That's totally changed now. There are a lot of states now that are allowing it. There's a state right next door that's allowing it. And I can tell you from my personal experience, there will be people that leave Indiana because of this. There will be people that leave South Bend because of this. When I graduated, I had people tell me, why are you still in South Bend? Why are you still in Indiana? It is not a place for gay people. It's not a welcoming place. Why would you want to be in a place that hates you? I had friends that did leave. Colin, Mike, and others, I know them, and one of the reasons they left was because of this. I can't speak to the wider statistics, but I know personally that this happens. As for the council votes in other cities, Indianapolis voted 22-6, New Albany was 7-1 with one abstention, and Evansville was unanimous. And I'm hoping that it will be unanimous here to send a message that South Bend cares about all of its citizens, and that South Bend is a progressive community that welcomes everyone, no matter what their sexual orientation. Even if this thing passes in the legislature, which hopefully it won't, this resolution is necessary to let people know that South Bend doesn't support it, and that South Bend is a welcoming place. And I hope you guys pass it. Thank you.
Good evening, Peter, the Judge Mayor of the City of South Bend with offices on the 14th floor of this building. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in favor of this ordinance. I'm here because this amendment is not a remote state issue or an abstract ideological debate. I believe it could affect our city's well-being, that our city ought to take a stand against it tonight, and that something important about our city is at stake. About 2 years ago, this council voted to ensure that no person in this city could be fired simply because they were gay. While some of the opponents of that bill predicted that businesses that wanted to discriminate would leave, or that it would be difficult for residents to know which bathroom to use, none of those problems have come to pass. And our city was in fact recognized for rejecting discrimination at that time. 2 years later, Indianapolis contemplates an amendment that would actually change Indiana's constitution over this social issue. At a time when our state has urgent needs for better education, infrastructure, and economic development, it's hard to think of a less productive activity for our legislators than to advance this amendment. Constitutions exist in order to protect and expand the freedoms and rights of men and women, never to take them away. Except for prohibition, I can think of no other constitutional amendment whose purpose was to restrict freedoms, to deny rights. Rights, to be specific, which might include health insurance coverage, domestic partnership, wills, trusts, inheritance laws, hospital visitations, and if such a law were interpreted the way it is in Ohio, perhaps even the legal protections against domestic violence. American communities are still recovering from the many times in our history when our laws failed to adequately protect the rights of minorities. Or even worse, laws that were specifically designed to make minorities worse off. This amendment would represent a swift and embarrassing march backwards in our state. And at the very moment when South Bend is gaining more regional and national respect for forward-thinking policies, openness, technology, at the very moment when we are fighting as never before to attract and retain skilled workers, this kind of law would put a conspicuous, unwelcome mat on the front porch of our economy. On this issue, America and the world have been moving in a clear direction. Now here at home, we have to decide which way to face, forward or backward. Will we join the company of those who have recently moved forward on this issue? States from Minnesota and Rhode Island to New Mexico and Iowa, countries from Brazil to Iceland, our own United States Supreme Court, Indiana University, even the sovereign Pokagon band of Potawatomi Indians right here at home. Or will we emulate those few places that are moving in the opposite direction, recently including South Sudan, Russia, and a few parts of the American South, places that have not always been in the lead when it comes to the protection of minorities and the acceptance of individual freedom. Whatever the complications, legalisms, or other excuses that may be injected into this debate in Indianapolis, the basic issue is extremely simple. This year, our state either will or will not change its own constitution in order to take freedoms and rights away from the minority of our citizens. For as long as we live in Indiana, we may be asked what side we were on in 2014. And I believe that tonight would be a good time for this city to get on the right side of history. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leah Morgan. I live on 32 West Indiana. A few years ago, I was actually at the State House to protest this very bill. I was 3 years ago, I was like 18 or 19. I spent almost my entire young adulthood, my entire college career, knowing that this bill was coming, thinking about it, protesting it, working with people back here to do something about it. And not only that, just the effort to live my life as a queer and trans person in Indiana or in the country in general. I was here 2 years ago for the human rights ordinance. We can talk about the fact that my degree and the degrees of other gay and lesbian and bisexual and transgender people in this city and in other places in Indiana will mean that they don't work here. We can talk about that. We can talk about queer activists and the Midwest queer activists, which is a real thing, and I'm a qualitative sociologist, not a quantitative one, so I can't give you statistics, but I can tell you it's a real thing. People don't stay here. They don't stay here not only because their gifts and values aren't valued, but they aren't valued as people. They aren't valued as individuals. I'm tired of standing here asking to be allowed to live in this country and have the rights that everyone else has, and I'm sure everyone sitting on the council has right now. The right to not have an amendment passed to say that you don't get to do this. You don't get to marry your partner and have equal rights, equal tax rates, equal anything. You don't get the right to have a family the way that I have in the West. Tired of standing here and saying that shouldn't happen. If you don't understand why that shouldn't happen, I don't have an argument left to give.
Hello, my name is Cecilia Dixon, and this is my son, Sam, and we live in 2110 Parkview Place. And as a teacher, as a mother, I have taught my son that we need to live in a world where everybody is equal. And when I told him we were coming here, he asked if he could speak. So I thought, why not? So he wanted to just say a few words.
What I would like to say is that both of my parents are gay, and people should love who they love. And we all live in the same home, and life should be fair for us, not different. We shouldn't be rejected. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Renee Feathers. I live at 119 Old Stable Lane in Mishawaka.
I was born and raised in South Bend. As a student, I worked really closely with high schools and the next upcoming generation, and I've seen the struggle that they've had with fighting for equality for people who are gay or lesbian or trans or bi. The discrimination that they see even as teenagers is really discouraging in staying in Indiana or in South Bend. So I would just like to say that I hope that you consider this resolution as a way to hopefully keep some of the youth and next generation here. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emily Wurtenberger. I live at 520 Coronation Gardens in South Bend. I just want to speak and kind of be the person that a lot of people are talking about. I moved here last week. I came from Indianapolis. I'm completing an internship. That is the last step of my doctorate in physical therapy from the University of Indianapolis. Within months, I will be deciding where I want to start a career, which is truly exciting because I've spent my whole life in school, and now we're finally to that point where we get to get started. And thus far, South Bend has been a very welcoming place. Everyone's very friendly, but I would be lying if I didn't say that I wasn't watching this very discussion to see if I want to stay. I really enjoy the clinic I'm working at. It's a very unique opportunity, and I'm learning some wonderful skills, and I would like to stay here and return what I've learned to my fellow Hooters. But if I'm not going to be supported as a person and as an equal to the rest of my peers, there's no reason for me to stay in town or in the state. So please consider that.
Hi, my name is Jeff Swart. I reside at 1102 North St. Joseph Avenue. I own a home in South Bend. I work in South Bend. My wife also works in South Bend. Our children attend public school in South Bend. We've been here about 12 years. And over that time, I've been really amazed to see South Bend grow as a city. From a time when we had to make apologies to friends visiting for how little there was to do on a Saturday night, to a time when people come and stay with us and say, wow, this is a great town you live in. And we invite lots of friends here. We've been proud to be here. We support local business when possible, even if it means we can have to pay a few dollars more rather than get something off Amazon. We'll do that to support local business. We're proud fans of the South Bend Silverhawks. We've been happy here in South Bend. We're proud to make this our home. I'd like to thank the council for adopting this, Councilor Scott, bringing this forward. Thank you, Mayor Buttigieg, for your words. I want to remain proud of South Bend, and I urge you all to accept this resolution. If it didn't pass, especially with strong support, it would make me a little less proud of the city that I've come to love. So I encourage you to consider that in your vote. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miles Robertson. I live at 941 21st Street in River Park. I apologize for not saying your name here, but there's something that I don't feel is said here. Mayor Buttigieg spoke on that, and I believe Liam touched on it too, but we're talking about statistics, and you're asking questions about statistics and hypothetical topics, but I want you to look in the room here, look at the face of the people here. This is a very human issue. This is a human rights issue. This is not an economic issue. Regardless of this, if this brings the brightest candidates to this area, the economic benefit that this brings here, can't hold a candle to the fact that these are human beings. We're all human beings in this room, and I think that's what we should focus on. Is that this is a human right. Thank you.
Thank you. What is the time? For 30 minutes. 30 minutes? Okay, we're right at 30 minutes, so we have equal time. Those who would like to speak in opposition, please come forth and state your name and address and share your thoughts. Please also line up like you saw that was done. Please come forth at this time. All those in opposition?
President Davis, members of the council, our honorable mayor, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Walter Nagorski. I live at 625 Piage Way in the 4th District, and I have been a resident of South Bend for 50 years, and we've raised our family here and continue to live here. During that time, I had taught at the University of Notre Dame, coming here from the University of Chicago. My special areas are political philosophy and constitutional history. And I have just a few thoughts to share with you. They were provoked by reading the press account and the interview with Councilman Scott on the weekend, in which he was anticipating he could draw the same vote that occurred earlier on the non-discrimination matter. And I would want to say initially, the question of non-discrimination and tolerance and fairness is distinct from the question of encouraging a homosexual lifestyle by equating it with heterosexual marriage. And I'm not going to speak from religious grounds. I'm going to speak from the grounds of common sense and universal human experience. There has never been a society that thrived or survived well, that encouraged, approved homosexual relationships rather than merely tolerated them. And to put them on a par with marriage as we've known it is what the council pushes toward. Where is this going to end? Where is this going to end? What started a couple years ago with a perfectly reasonable approach to the question of non-discrimination. Where will this lead us? Will this lead us to the kind of position that we see manifest in California, where the same principles the mayor invokes of equality and freedom are used to insist that the homosexual way of life be presented equally in the schools as a valid option? Will it be used to deny parents the right to seek personal, professional, medical, and psychological assistance in dealing with a sexual orientation that they do not welcome and doing their best for it? Where are we headed when we give the encouragement of equating a homosexual relationship with marriage as we've known it, as all societies in human history have known it? Are we prepared to take that kind of step? Of course, no right is taken away that can be cited in the Declaration of Independence, because the Declaration of Independence did not understand itself to be asserting a right to marriage that was other than a marriage between a man and a woman. And through our constitutional history, that has been the prevalent understanding. The court is very much undecided, as I think most of you know. It was a 5-4 decision.
You have 1 minute.
Please?
I'm sorry, you have 1 minute remaining on time.
1 minute, thank you.
Sorry.
A final thought. The negative business impact is not at all convincing. given how Indiana is doing now and how it is likely to do. It's an exaggerated point that hides a moral agenda. And we cannot separate these allegedly developmental business decisions from the moral impact on the way our young people view their future relationships. So I urge the council to table or defeat the resolution of Councilman Scott. Thank you.
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. Sitting listening to this gentleman and thinking back to what was said by the people who were for this, I mean, I can't say I'm actually opposed to it, but I think our city mayor came up here and said it best. Our Indiana legislators are down south in Indianapolis wasting time and taxpayer dollars on this very same issue. That's what our mayor said. So why are we here as local legislators wasting my tax dollars and everyone else's on this same issue that the mayor doesn't feel should be going on in Indianapolis?
Is there anybody else in the opposition? Seeing none, the public, you have a chance for rebuttal. You have a chance to rebuttal. 5 minutes. Councilman Scott.
I'll make it very brief. One thing that has stuck in my brain for a long time, ever since the primary, was words uttered by Dr. Fred Perlin. There is no room in a forward-thinking society for discrimination. And I've kept that in my head for a long, long time. That is all. Wish for your support.
Thank you. At this time, we will ask for final comment or statements or anything from the council, and we will start with Councilman Davenport, and we'll go back down to I'll close up. Sure. I'll just briefly say thank you to everyone who came out today. And if you do support the rejection, I guess, the opposition of HJR 6 or HJR 3, there still is a lot you can do. I'm sure all of you have kept track of the progress at the state level today, but be certain to get involved over the next few days, maybe weeks. But there's certainly a lot of contacts that can be made and a lot of progress, and hope for a good result down south.
I'll defer until after the members speak.
Okay.
Thank you, President Davis. I asked that question, what right should HJR 6 take away? And I knew the answer in advance, and the answer is that it doesn't take any right away, except it takes away the right to challenge the original law in the future and overturn it. That's part of the agenda, which is brought to us with regards to the objection to this. I think the right, when you have a disagreement amongst people, for whatever reason, whatever the source of it, be it religious, be it just a honest disagreement, be it political, you periodically have an opportunity to, in a truly democratic fashion, let the people of the state or the people of the community weigh in. We're a body of 9 in a community of 100,000. Actually, we're 8 tonight in a body of 100,000. We end up oftentimes representing the people who make the most noise and the people who come with the most objections, or the people who come with the most, sometimes, offensive arguments. The right to weigh in on this in the form of a referendum is probably the fairest, most democratic way to handle this. I don't know whether we'll get to that or not. But if you really want to know what the people in the state as a whole think, you accept the referendum and you accept the results. I don't think that the folks who are here tonight are prepared to accept the results of a statewide referendum, whatever that is, because they're pretty certain what the results will be. wish we could find a way to have these discussions without diverting into the obvious or sometimes ridiculous statements of the best and the brightest. When people on one side or the other make that and say it's going to affect the city with regards to attracting the best and the brightest, the honest statement is it may affect the people who agree with you or your side with regards to the best and brightest. But there's a whole world of other people out there that may disagree with you. There's full of best and bright people. From the day one we got into these discussions with regards to the GLBT question that has been brought forward and has bothered me from day one. And I think it's time to drop that argument from the discussion. I don't think there's any financial. There may be within the world out there people who agree enough with the decision of the state referendum that we would attract people to the state. So I think it's a net zero. I think a welcoming community has honest people who are willing to air their discussions, who are willing to meet, who are willing to accept decisions and go forward. That's truly a welcoming community, because in no community does everybody get everything they want. Invariably, there's one group of people who feel oppressed or something, and there's one group of people who feel like they're elevated. I think we have to get over those sorts of things as part of the discussion. And I hope that, however this turns out, whatever happens in the legislature, South Bend will continue to be growing recently, the most successful by far recently, because people are willing to accept decisions and move forward rather than to carry on this ongoing discussion. I welcome anyone into my office. I have tried your office for years. I didn't ask, I didn't care. You could tell me, it made no difference. I'm not judgmental. I welcome anyone. And I think for the most part, everyone in the city does. Except for maybe a very, very few. We're a good city. We'll go forward however this turns out. But I think we have to have a discussion in the future based on facts and reality, not on conjecture, not on hypothetics, and accept the fact that sometimes everyone doesn't get everything that they want, either short-term or long-term. I will not support this resolution, although I do understand the sincerity with which it was brought.
Thank you, Dr. Fuller.
I think there's four factors to be weighed here. One, as far as referendums are concerned, the majority is not necessarily always correct, even if Indiana goes that way.
That's typical liberal progressive thought. The majority often is not right.
Sounds good. I wouldn't have my two colleagues, Oliver and Henry, sitting here today if it hadn't been for Little Rock, Arkansas in 1957. Okay, because the majority of white voters would not allow Henry or Oliver to be sitting here. So that's the paradox of majority-minority, and I understand that. But I had the opportunity to talk to my daughter tonight, who's was one of the advocates for same-sex marriage in New Mexico 3 weeks ago. The New Mexico Supreme Court upheld same-sex marriage, and she was one of the lead attorneys on it. And I'm not a lawyer, but she states that it is a right. Same-sex marriage is a right, and in her words, she states that the Indiana State Constitution has an equal protection clause, that all laws are applied equally, which means you cannot discriminate against anyone on the basis of gender, sexual orientation, race, and case law will eventually prove this to be true. Now again, I'm not a lawyer, but this is a person who won before the New Mexico Supreme Court. So that's the legal aspect of it, so I think it is a right according to her legal description. The second thing I think you have to consider is that this is an ethical, moral issue. Christ said, do unto others as you want to be treated. I don't think that he would allow discrimination on the basis of gender, race, sexual orientation, religion, So that's the second component. You got a legal component and ethical moral component. Third one is economic. You're a reader of the Wall Street Journal as I am. Numerous studies have shown that there's a much higher per capita income with gay couples versus heterosexual couples, especially male gay couples, okay? So those are facts and figures that I can retrieve within 24 hours. Lastly, there's a medical genetic issue here which nobody ever talks about, but there's something called genetic determinism. And that's the fourth issue. So I think on those four bases, on the legal basis, on the ethical moral issue, on the economic basis, and on the medical genetic issue, you cannot discriminate against gay or heterosexual couples, period. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
Thank you, President. So, for everyone here tonight, the bills that come before council are, we as representatives should never make these bills personal because we are presented with facts and figures, and it's our responsibility to do our due diligence and do our reading and research and make informed decisions. And this is a bill that we could try to weigh all of these facts and figures and statistics, but this is a personal bill because this bill talks about a person's right to spend the rest of their life with someone they love. And I am very blessed. I have someone I love dearly. And it's from that foundation at home that I have the ability to try to go out in the world and do good things and make the world a better place. And I hope that makes sense, but it's that foundation that you have at home that makes all the difference in what you do every day in the world. Sorry, I talk with my hands. I'll sit on my hands. But I would not, when I think about gay marriage or marriage is this amazing, wonderful, wonderful thing that I am so thankful to have found the right person who I'm sharing my life with. And I am just forever, every day, just so thankful for that. It's not my place or anybody's place to say who you should or shouldn't marry. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. This is a very personal thing. I will support this bill. It's a celebration when somebody finds that person, that soulmate, that person that they want to commit the rest of their life to. That's an amazing, wonderful thing. And I would never want to deny it. So I will be supporting Bill 1407.
Councilman Davis.
I thought you was telling me to slow up. You cannot legislate a man's or woman's heart. I don't care what you put in order, black and white, that's what, how that person feels about you, that's how they're going to feel about you. I hate that we even have to pick up some more issues. I've given my statement to the local media before I began talking, so I hope you guys want to say that in cloud what I wrote on the paper for you guys. So please quote me by the paper, not this. You cannot. I just believe that you cannot legislate a person's heart. It's just a fact. And no, Mary, you're completely right. History has not been kind to the minority community. I live it every day, especially with African Americans. We have over 1 million black men are in prison right now. I don't know how that happens, but clearly it has happened. Somebody's trading something somewhere. Somebody's making some laws that probably just don't fit. And thus you have this overpopulated prison system. And then we have an issue that reeked of racial biases and prejudices that just received a payout for a tape issue for like over $600,000. We still have not satisfied our inquisitiveness about what really took place. And that reaped the history that we were just talking about. So when we begin to talk about these things, we have to talk about them from a flawed standpoint because we're all flawed. So I don't want to put one against the other. You talk about wasting away money. Do you understand the cost it would be if a constitution was amended? I think that we have put blinders on and became very emotional about our own personal situation. Do you know how much the court's fees will cost, lawyer fees, all the other things, the overtime for travel, and all the other things that state legislators will have to do to produce a brand new document for a constitution? Do we understand the serious implications of that? That's some serious stuff. While I may agree with each side of the argument, and that's possible, my vote is easily explained. A constitution amendment banning same-sex marriage is an overreach and unnecessary. The conservatives' attempt to ban same-sex marriage through a constitutional amendment could have far-reaching consequences, especially in its political climate. Reopening the Indiana state constitution could have dangerous and unintended consequences, especially with regard to women's reproductive rights and voting rights. We have seen this in North Carolina, we've seen it in Pennsylvania, and so many other states where they have to start stripping away all kinds of things. A Republican-controlled legislature with Republican governors nationwide have wreaked havoc on these sacred and necessary rights. So I will, in return, support this particular resolution. But we do have to understand the full gravity of what we're asking for. It just doesn't stop with this small issue, as somebody stated earlier. It starts very small and expands very big. We open the Constitution up. Anybody in that supermajority can make any type of amendment, and guess what? It goes through. And so, actually, my voting rights probably could be stripped away here in America. Again. So, we really have to pay attention to what's really going on. So, I will be supporting it under those guys. So, I stand with you today.
Councilman Scott.
My bar is set very high. I want South Bend to be the place in America where everybody would want to live. And as I said before, I don't want to see any barriers. I don't want to see any exceptions to the rule that would pretty much make someone decide to live somewhere else. We're leaders. In this resolution, it is right to send a message, and that's what we're doing. And I appreciate everybody's input. I respect everybody's input on both sides. There are many different facets to this, and I respect all the council's input on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Scott. Vice President Davis.
Thank you, President Davis. Thanks to Mr. Scott for bringing this to the attention of the council and to the public. I know a lot of people contacted him, and there's been a lot of people that have contacted me on both sides of the issue. First and foremost, I don't understand Dr. Felix talking about the majority. If that was the truth of your majority votes, then Obama wouldn't be the president. So I can't understand that, but it's not up to debate on that. So no, it isn't. So if you get the most votes, he's the president. So that goes out the window. So I'd just like to say first, secondly, the vote that the state is taking is not adopting the Constitution. What they're doing is putting it on a ballot. So in November of this year, all the people in the state of Indiana have the opportunity to vote one way or the other. I think that has been lost in this entire discussion tonight of what the state is doing, and as far as everybody's comments tonight, it's not going to be decided by the legislation. This goes into the Constitution. it's going to be on a ballot for the citizens of this state to vote, either yes or no. And that's the referendum that Dr. Varner and Dr. Furlick were talking about. Different states have referendums and vote on things similar to this. Some states have voted for medical marijuana. Some states have voted for other tougher gun control laws. In my opinion, it's up to the citizens of the state to vote how they want things in their state. That's the expression that everybody should have in the right, and I think the legislation is correct of putting that on a ballot and letting the citizens decide one way or the other. In the resolution before us, we do talk about statistics and so on, but what's interesting of the 11 mayors that are mentioned here, there's over 120 cities and over 400 towns in Indiana. Out of the 8,000 to 10,000 businesses on the Freedom Indiana website, I see only 11 listed who are in favor of this. And then it gets to the colleges that are in favor of this. I didn't see anything about Notre Dame, St. Mary's, Holy Cross, Bethel, or Ivy Tech, which are local colleges. When I look for information and I look for things that go on, and again, this council does a good job of getting all that information. And just if someone happens to vote negative for this tonight, that doesn't mean we don't care about the people, we don't care about people in here. Sometimes we have a different opinion on what some other council member think or what we want to think. So in the big picture of that, everybody gets the information and makes a decision, and that's what happens tonight. So again, in the end, there's been a state law in Indiana voted for under Democratic governor, Democratic House in 1997. This book, the law has been on the books since 1997. 16 years. And I haven't seen a mass exodus of everybody in the state of Indiana. I see everybody here who is in favor of this tonight. Since that law has been on the books from 1997, everybody is still here. I have not seen people leave. There may have been some, but I haven't seen the exodus that everybody is afraid of the best and the talented and everybody else leaving. Because if that was the case, since this has been on the books since 1997, people would have left Indiana. So, again, I appreciate everybody's working here tonight, everybody coming and speaking on either side of the issue. Again, my perspective, I think it's up to the state of Indiana and all the citizens in Indiana to decide what they want to do within their state. So, I will be voting against Mr. Scott. Okay. Even though he's my buddy. All right. Thank you. I'd like to thank Councilman Scott for bringing this forward tonight. I'd like to thank our council for the discussion we've had tonight. I'd like to thank the mayor for weighing in from the administration. I was asked in church this past weekend, how do I make the decisions regarding these kind of matters? One of the things that I have consistently done over my last going on 7 years on this council has been an advocate of separation of church and state. I believe in civil unions, and I really think civil unions should be across the board, all the way through. And depending on if the church chooses to accept that type of civil union, that's up to their church. If a church accepts, some churches do not accept, I've gone through divorce, some don't accept if you get married in that church, that's up to them. But you can get divorced 35 times along, you back and forth. A state, look-a-dee-doo. A church, okay, you may not be able to take the sacraments, you may not be able to be an elder, you may not be able to be in the choir, you may not be able to be an usher. They can have all those different rules, and I'm not going to argue over all that. When it comes down to here, are you divorced, you back and forth, okay, you can get married, you back and forth, you get boom. We don't look at all that. And to me, the gay people, the single whatever, got to get their trash done, have to get the lights done, have to have police protection. We have to protect everybody. No matter what, whether they love God, don't like God, pay tithes, don't pay tithes, whatever. Okay?
In the church, you don't have to do that. If you don't pay tithes, you don't have to pay all that, they can kick you out. You know, you don't can do certain things, you don't throw you out. We accept other people. So those are the reasons why, for me personally, I have separated that. I respect my colleagues who be in opposition on this tonight. That's one of the reasons why I asked for a letter. Even a letter that we do, whether we have emails are public, so I know there was this person saying that I wanted a letter. Even a letter would be public. But I was just concerned due to the fact that I don't want it to be perceived in an interesting way versus those who are opposed. And so those of us who are supportive, let's say, let's write a letter, all of us support, we can do it. That was the reason why I tried to look at that letter standpoint. I am in support of the resolution, and I am ready to vote.
Me too.
Thank you.
I'll move for a negative recommendation.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor for a no vote on this, please say aye.
Aye.
All in favor of this law, okay, no vote. All opposed to that, no vote?
Aye.
Do we need to have a roll call on that?
No.
It's up to the chair. It didn't sound like it to me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that fails.
I move for the adoption of Bill 1407.
Second. Okay, let's go for the roll.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Vice President Dieter.
Nay.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Mrs. Shedd.
Aye.
Dr. Frost.
Aye.
And President Alvarez.
Aye.
5 ayes, 2 nays.
No.
No.
That doesn't count. Should be 6.
7, 68. That would be 6 ayes and 2 nays.
Thank you, sir.
38.
I understand. 62 was the final count of that. The bill passes. First reading. Thank you. Got it? Okay. Just one quick clarification. Mr. Scott, what would be the next step, please?
The next step is the signed resolution going to everybody, the governor and
Indiana General.
in the Indiana General Assembly.
Okay, thank you. Okay. We now move to our first readings. Mr. Vorty.
Bill number 114. First reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating the fixed sum of $150,000 plus up to an additional $125,000 from Economic Development Income Tax, edit, Fund number 408, for the capital obligations pursuant to agreement with the Potawatomi Zoological Society.
Thank you.
And we send this bill to the Personnel and Finance.
On the 27th. So moved. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, thank you. Bill number 0214.
First reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, transferring a not to exceed sum of $900,000 within Parks and Recreation General Fund number 201 from personnel costs into other professional services and appropriating said monies to satisfy contractual obligation to the Potawatomi Zoological Society.
Do we have a motion to move this to Parks on the 27th of this month?
Yes.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. It's moved. Okay, carried. Go ahead, Mr. Vorty, for Bill 0314.
First reading on a bill amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 1912, 1918, and 1924 Edison Road, South Bend, Indiana, 46617. Councilmanic District 4 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Do we have a motion to move this to area plan?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? So let me move to area plan. On unfinished business, do we have a motion? Could you please, we have a motion to move
Oh, yes.
Bill 1406, change zoning, annexation on the 27th, so of this month.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Is there any more new business to come before this council tonight?
No, President.
Yes, there's something, there will be a Community Relations Committee on January the 22nd, 2014, over at the O'Brien Center at 5 o'clock. Also, on the 29th, there's a CC AC meeting. What time is that, please? 3:30? And where is that located?
Council chambers.
Thank you, sir. Okay, is there anything else? Yeah. Okay, yes, Dr. Run.
Given the snowfall of the past 2 weeks, I think we would pretty much all agree that the South Bend Street Department did a really nice job.
Good point.
Pretty timely, I think very well done, very professionally, and when times like this, when it's outstarred the ordinary extraordinary, I think we should publicly thank them for their efforts in there.
All right, everybody. All right, we're going to take it to us. I put that on record and class. I will put he stole my thunder on that. We draft a letter that was sent to Public Works and the Street Department, Park Department, and everybody else. If all council members want to sign that, thanking them for all their work during this time. Tim, you'll sign that? Yes. Thank you. Also, Health and Public Safety, I'll be getting the statistics and calling a meeting together regarding the issues at Park Jefferson. I don't know what else the council can do. Jim Scott has already started to work on that, so we've put that together in a Health and Public Safety meeting to find out if there's any other things that we need from the fire department or anything else that we can. We can help the ownership of Park Jefferson. Thank you for that. That's a very important point. Thank you. Now, the next time, we would like to have a privilege of the floor. All those who would like to speak to this council, go up to, I think this was 3 minutes. 3 minutes, please come and state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to talk to us, and then we'll write a response, which, if you sign the document, that Mr. Morty, where's that document? A letter, or, you have it? Thank you, it's right there. You sign it, and we'll make sure we have a response back to you.
I will give you a 1-minute exit.
I'll take me up. Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10, South Bend, Indiana. I'm coming to the council tonight to ask you to please take a look at a new sewer insurance ordinance or a new sewer insurance program that I was told in 2010 from an intimidating letter from the city that they had already implemented this back in 2010. Well, it didn't get implemented until November of 2013, a few months ago. I accidentally ran across it on the city's website. A bunch of local contractors who used to do this work for the city were kind of booted out of this program in 2010. I've been coming up here preaching about it, fighting it. I've got a lawsuit about it. Well, apparently behind the scenes, the Board of Public Works wrote this new ordinance, and they geared it toward this contractor from out of town that they've been feeding all this work to, who also was double billing citizens in the city. So I've been up here many times, but I ran across this ordinance. I don't think it ever came before the council. They changed a sewer program that used to be 3 pages long to a new program that's 23 pages long. And if you read it, I'm sure you will agree with me that this is totally geared toward keeping local contractors out of this program and only feeding work for this individual contractor. In this new ordinance or program that they wrote, you had to apply to be a contractor on this list between December 15th and January 1st, which is a 2-week time frame. This was never given to the public. It was never given to a contractor or anything. So no one even got an opportunity to fill the documents out to be on this program. You need to look into this, find out if it's even legal what they did, and why they're only pushing work for this out-of-town contractor.
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask Kathy a question?
Kathy?
Real quick, Kathy, would you at least find out if we, as a general, if we authorize the Board of Public Works to change the program as part of the original ordinance, or if this was actually, well, I know it didn't, but I'd like it to come from somebody else.
Okay, thank you. Before we have our gentlemen, I would just like to recognize 2 new people. One's old, but he's in a new position. Not old. I know, old employee. Our new controller, Mr. Murphy, would you please stand? And our new deputy chief, Brian, pardon me? Pulaski, thank you. I appreciate it.
Excuse me, and uniform chief Scott Roskowski. Patrolman Ron Klein.
Okay. All right. We got all the new Scooby. Everybody here? That's good. Okay, motion to adjourn? All in favor, aye? Opposed? We are closed out of here. Long day.